Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our review of the Blacklist Season 10, Episode 7, The Freelancer Part 2. Guess what, everybody? There's gonna be a Part 3. The Freelancer is still out there.
Yeah, the not conclusion. And, that makes me pretty happy. Not the way he got away. I was kind of like,
Yeah.
really, wrestler Dembe, you guys just turned your back on him. Okay, no, all right, I guess we're here.
Wait, you're saying the FBI are being dunderheads again?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it was a little bit much, but I'm glad that he's still out there.
Yeah, there's a lot to get into, of course, with the Freelancer story, but I think the biggest question that continues to sort of exist for everybody, we've seen it a lot in the comments these past couple of videos, is like, what is Reddington up to? What is he actually building? Because this show, it loves to have its mysteries that are kind of mentioned and bubbling underneath the surface. Sometimes these pay off in a big way. Other times they are, is Reddington really sick? And then they just drop it and don't address it ever again.
And some of them are all about what is it that he is building. We know that he, purchased some sort of secret property with no windows, and it was brought up again in this episode. So we have some tinfoil hat theories on that, of where that is going, and possible spin-off. There's been no news, but I got a tinfoil hat theory on that.
Yeah, this is gonna be a theory-packed video. We have a ton to talk about. Go ahead, also hit that subscribe button. We have more Blacklist previews, reviews, reactions coming up down the road. Also, yesterday, Succession, a very important episode, you can say. We suggest you check that out if you are watching that show.
Yep, we're also covering Ted Lasso. We're also covering Yellow Jackets. There's lots of great stuff here at the channel, so hit that subscribe button. If you're looking for some fun Easter content from over the weekend, we have a whole bunch of new pictures up at our Instagram, which is Matt and Jess TV, and we would really appreciate if you went over there and gave us a follow.
All right. Now, let's just jump headfirst into Reddington's construction project because, like, as you mentioned, it has been brought up multiple times this season. He has really worked to find some place that's, like, off the grid, not that well known, and until then, he's basically just been, like, couch surfing, which is just a very humorous idea for a man of Reddington's stature and age for him to be doing.
Yeah, it was kind of like, we were talking about it a bit and just, spitballing ideas, what is he building? Is it something to do with WUJING? Is it something like that he's going to use to be able to sort of battle him? Is he creating some sort of other, I don't know, business or something and he's going to use this property to hand down to Agnes? And then it came. All right, idea that Matt came up with, and all of a sudden it was like ding, ding, ding. Okay. He is correct. It's a W.
Let's not go that far yet. I spent last year yelling that Panna Baker was out to get everybody, and it was Marvin. So
okay, Matt's teeing up for a W.
This may be an L. I'm just okay. Here's what I think might be going on here, because I think it's very well possible that all this is tied into WUJING, but at the same time, we also kind of have to remember he's really going to great lengths to keep things secret. And I've always said that there may be something beyond WUJING on this season as well. And I think the real thing here is, what if Reddington is trying to establish some sort of future for either his own operations or the Blacklist operation itself for the task force? I think he is somebody who is always trying to think about the long game, and he doesn't have any place that feels safe or secure or his home anymore. I mean, we all remember in season 8, he had his like weird Blacklist bunker with all these like strangers working. Like, that place is gone. He didn't have that anymore. He, the task force.
He doesn't need that anymore. Okay, Liz is gone.
It's true. It's true. He doesn't really have anything at this point. And we saw throughout this episode that the task force is being photographed. Like, it's amazing the post office is even still standing at this point when you just sort of consider like everything that happened with Anslow Garrick, everything that went on with this show in the past. Like, it is shocking that nobody has found this out yet, but now we are in this situation where it's going to get just taken apart piece by piece. And now there has to be another place that can be established. There has to be another sort of home base, and maybe this is it, and he is too afraid to even talk about it with anyone in the fear of it getting exposed.
The new post office. That is going to be a Matt W.
Okay.
Here, I'm calling it now. I think that's exactly what is happening. And this episode especially kind of like reinforced that feeling because, WUJING is going after the whole task force. He wants to expose everybody that's connected with Reddington. He's got pictures of everybody. He knows what everybody's backgrounds are. And I think that speech that we got from Reddington where he was talking to Cooper about VESCO and sort of his feelings about everyone that he cares about around him ends up dying, and that he feels very responsible for what happened to VESCO, what happened to Liz. Like he's piling up bodies and guilt on himself. Then he was really talking about Agnes and Cooper and how, Cooper and Charlene are doing this like really great job, raising Agnes, and how, he doesn't want Agnes to lose more parents. And I think the closer that WUJING is getting to the task force and where the post office is, I think Reddington knows that he has to move them. He has to get them out of there. He has to move them to a new place so that WUJING can't find them. And I think it all comes back to that feeling that he has where he's just like, everyone near me ends up dead, and I can't let that happen to Cooper the most specifically, because he is the guardian of Agnes, and he has said multiple times that he thinks he's doing a good job. He wants him to continue to be sort of this stable rock in her life so that she can grow up to be, feeling pretty good and feeling loved and feeling, stable.
And I think this goes beyond just WUJING at this point. I think WUJING is probably the impetus for whatever he's building and planning out at this point. But I think somewhere in the back of his head, he always probably knows that there's going to be another threat. There's going to be another issue. Because that's been the way of Reddington's entire operation for decades. And, he's never really been the most trusting of all government institutions. He's went and talked about this in the past, that he really has. He's a man without a country. And, how long was he going to be able to actually trust that, a big part of his future, his end game, was tied up into this concept of working at, an FBI facility? It never really fully aligned with anything else. And I think that's going to be the fun part. If this really is the new task force where he's just like, hi, FBI agents, I've got a new place for you now, and you're all going to accept that.
Yeah, but it might be a situation where it really is coming down to the line where they realize that they're going to lose the post office and it's coming really quickly, that he's able to move them somewhere else, kind of like what was happening over on Blind Spot. And this idea of the new post office and having the team move over there, and sort of Reddington's been circling sort of the same theme this season, which is he thinks, that maybe his death is coming. It could be, we had the whole Reddington is sick and then it kind of disappeared, but did it? Might still kind of be around. We don't know, right? We don't know, but we have theorized here at the channel that we do think that this show is going to end up with Reddington dying. And if that's the case, here's my tinfoil hat theory. Everybody get them on and buckle up, okay? I'm starting to feel like we might get a spinoff, and that maybe this is just, my theory, that maybe James Spader wanted to move on to some other things, or, it's been 10 seasons, you know what I mean? He may want to try something else creatively, whatever the reason is that the show is ending. Maybe someone like Netflix, who's rolling around in Blacklist money, is just like, well, we don't want that cash cow to end. So maybe there's going to be this new post office where the task force moves, and whoever is number 2, who we haven't seen on the Blacklist yet, who I was convinced was the real Raymond Reddington for a really long time. But now I'm kind of like, what if number 2, there's going to be somebody very important to Reddington, ends up being the new Reddington in whatever spinoff could possibly happen? I'm making it up in my head. You know what I mean? Is there a way to get more Blacklist that would unfortunately not have James Spader, but maybe have somebody else who's like a high quality A-list actor like James.
I like this. This is fun. This is very, very okay. What intrigues me, I think, the most about this idea at this point is just sort of this idea of how can we continue on the legacy of this show and still experiment a little bit. Moving to Netflix would be really fun. It would allow them to get like darker, more intense.
Oh, yeah.
You know, this has always been sort of a Sony show, and NBC has been happy to like carry it for a long time. Ratings on NBC aren't as great anymore. Netflix still there. Okay, I already have my Tilda Swinton, are you available? Come on, she would be perfect. You get a Okay, here we go. I'm going full dream now at this point.
Full dream.
Tilda's the real Katerina
Oh
Rostova.
my goodness.
She's still out there. She's gonna run the Blacklist now. No, this is the real thing. Is that like I did for a long time think that okay, the real Katerina is number 2, but number 3 was labeled as Katerina Rostova like long ago. It wasn't labeled as, you know, whoever the Katerina imposter is. So maybe the real Katerina is just number 3. I thought number 2. I thought for a long time. See, I'm getting all messed up with my numbers here. Okay, I thought for a long time that Neville was number 2, but they never gave Neville a number. Neville is seemingly dead. As much as fun as I have joking about that, I don't think they're bringing Neville back from the grave at this point.
But I am curious to hear from you guys, like, who would be number 2 that you guys would watch as a spinoff? Like,
Yeah.
for me, if Reddington and Katerina are not the same person, and to us, I know we've had this conversation with you guys, it is not fully confirmed on the show, and one of the showrunners, John Eisendrath, has said that it is not fully confirmed on the show, and that if it is not fully confirmed on the show by the end of this season,
Yeah.
then he lost out on what he wanted to do and he was overruled. So even he has said that it hasn't been fully confirmed. It doesn't mean that Reddington's not Katerina.
Yeah.
It could be something else. He's just saying that it has not been actually confirmed on the show yet. However,
Yeah.
let's say that the real Katerina is out there and she is number 2. I would watch that spinoff if that was it and she's the new Reddington. I mean, like, what a cool character.
It could be really, really fun. Like, you know, it's a really exciting thing to think about. It makes me feel a little less excited as opposed to just like fully depressed at the idea that this show is ending. And I know we're probably going to lose Reddington no matter what. Like even in this episode when he is sort of like around Rogelio for that while and, you know, trying to support his new business and all of this,
Yeah.
it felt a lot like, okay, this is Reddington sort of knowing whatever he's building here is probably his final salvo. Either he's still really sick or he thinks that, you know, something's going to happen because of WUJING, and he's really trying to make sure that he takes care of the people who have been loyal to him. And I think it's not just generosity. I think it's also like he really enjoyed the experience of being around that family and, you know, actually getting some good food and getting good like these are things that he enjoys. He's always been like this worldly man of the people who values these experiences, and I think he's cherishing these little moments now in a way that he really hadn't before.
And I think because of what he said to Cooper, that he's sort of like, everybody around me that I really care about, like, just keeps dying on me. He does feel that guilt, and he's sort of trying a way to pay it forward to other people who have helped him throughout time, that he cares about, that he wants to know that they succeed, where he's even like, let me invest in what's going on. And he's like, no, you know, you've done enough, sort of thing. I think it's really important to him that if he feels like his time is coming to an end, that he's done some bad things. I don't think anybody on here is gonna come here and pretend like Reddington's an all good guy. He's done some bad things. He's a complicated guy. He's done good things. He's done bad things. But I think he's in this point of his life where he wants to try to tip the scale into doing some more good before he goes out.
Okay, so before we get into the freelancer part of this, there's just like one little thing I want to point out, and that is in his speech about VESCO, Reddington makes a real point of noting that VESCO, while he was close, that he taught him everything he knows, that VESCO doesn't actually know a lot about who Reddington really is, and I think that's I guess in the grand scheme of things, that may not matter that much, but I just found it very interesting that they chose to put that in there just as another reminder that there is still this larger mystery they haven't given us an answer to, and that we also don't have to sit around being mad and like shaking our fists in the air that we lost somebody who actually knew the truth because VESCO didn't really know anything.
No, it didn't. It didn't seem that he did.
No, okay. Freelancer, you're back. You caused a little bit of chaos, and I think we needed this sort of episode for the show just because these past few have felt very small and very
Mhm.
insular. I think with the budget they have, they made this episode feel as high stakes and about as action packed as I think we can really hope for.
Yeah, and I think it was good too to sort of just get a little more insight into where WUJING is going with things because we knew that one of his goals is to expose and sort of humiliate Reddington to like let
Yeah.
everybody know what he's been doing and who he's been doing it with to ensure that he's like sort of just like put on an island by himself. Nobody
Yeah.
wants to work with him anymore. He's just going to be like, oh man, everything I worked for gone because my secrets are exposed. It's not as simple as WuJing just being like, oh, you betrayed me. We're going to come, kill you now, because he has had numerous opportunities to do that. One of the things he seemingly wants to do is to just expose him and humiliate him and ruin the reputation of the great Raymond Reddington, which he thinks would really hurt Raymond a lot before actually hiring some people to maybe go deal with him.
This is WuJing is just trying to play with this food at this point, and it is a very dangerous proposition. They make this big thing at the end of this episode of just like bringing back like Fisker to the army. It's like, do any of us even really? I know this was just the end of last season, but it's just like, do we really care about any of these people? Like, how is this your big ending to this episode where you're like, here's some stooges that were around last. Could we not find a more, I don't know, interesting or iconic, like real blacklister to throw in that spot, like other
Yeah.
than this?
I agree. I was just kind of like, this is where we're kind of going. Like people who were going after him that, flubbed the job,
Yeah.
like, and now it's like WuJing wants them. I was like, oh, all right, sure.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess you have your photographic evidence now, and
Yes, that was very smart. I really like the way that played out.
yeah, like that I'm guessing is going to be like the more important thing that pays off a little bit more down the line, is that he has like a real thing he can use to recruit. Now,
Mhm.
as action packed and as much as I enjoyed some of that stuff, wrestlers fight scene, I mean, guys, I know this show is not operating on like a Stranger Things level budget here, but when I, who am legally blind, can detect that that is a stunt double and that is not the real Diego Klatnoff doing the fight scene, we have a little bit of a problem here.
That whole thing was just kind of nonsense. It was just like we had this fight scene that was kind of like wah wah,
Yeah.
and then and then we have the freelancer, and he's like hit his head, and they've got him all sort of tied up, ready to go, kind of thing, and they just turn their back on him, and he's gone. I was like, how many times are the FBI going to fumble the ball over and over and over again and just make them look like they're driving around in a clown car, picking up more agents, letting more people go? Like, it's just weird, honking their noses as they go.
And it's just like, you guys gave Wrestler a nice little sub story where, he's got somebody he can help the sponsor and really help out. It's like, here's Wrestler starting to get a little bit of a personal life outside
Mhm.
of the team. And it's like, I'm happy about that. I'm just impressed by that. And yet, you guys still can't make Wrestler seem like, 10 years on the job, that he is like a competent agent, where as soon as Reddington turns up, all of a sudden, everything he knows just goes,
Yeah, I mean, I was really glad to see some sort of personal story where, he's 1 year sober now, and that, that he's maybe possibly going to sponsor somebody else that's going through it, that maybe has some kind of a similar job. He's not really sure, but it was nice to see him near the end of the episode, actually just make the sort of introduction to be like, hey, I know you're 4 days through this. I'm a year through this. You'll keep getting there. You're doing good. I was like, okay, it's good to see something more than just you don't understand this job. It's just like, okay, we've seen this enough.
Big picture, I do think this is probably the best episode since the 200th.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the ending's a little bit of a letdown. Yeah, you fake stunt double disaster, but it's just like, I feel like I came out of this fairly satisfied, and we got some good theories out of it.
Yeah, there was a lot that went on in this episode where I was like, this was a really good episode. I enjoyed it. I really like the way that they're putting everything together with WUJING, where he was using the photographer to take pictures, to sort of feed information, to see if it gets to Reddington. If it gets to Reddington, the FBI shows up right away. That's the connection. Like, he's crafty, and it was really good to see that.
All right, well, we will have some more crafty theories coming up very, very soon. So hit that subscribe button so you guys don't miss any of that. And thank you for watching. We'll see you here next time.